Imagine a host of ships lining a harbor and dotting the horizon as far as the eye can see. The ships docked at one of the largest ports of the world make passage to distant lands in Egypt, West Asia, North and East Africa, and so on. This is how an eyewitness from 4000 years ago would describe Lothal, a thriving port city of the Indus Valley civilization. Lothal wasn't the dry, barren land that it is today. The Arabian Sea back in the day was much inland. Between 2450 BCE to 2350 BCE, there was a small dock at Lothal that could house small boats. Heavy rainfall and high tides often resulted in flooding of the small port city of Lothal. However, a massive flood in 2350 BCE ravaged Lothal and leveled the city completely. But the people of Lothal saw an opportunity in the calamity. They expanded their settlement and created a planned township with an artificial dock. This artificial dock served as a port for berthing larger ships while at the same time regulating floods and tides. Lothal engineers studied tidal movements and their effects on brick-built structures. This knowledge also enabled them to select Lothal's location in the first place and build the artificial dock. This new port transformed Lothal into a booming and prosperous city. Beautiful beads from the Narmada Valley, cotton, timber, and ivory were traded in return for baser metals, wool, and cosmetics. Several local industries came up in Lothal to fulfill the needs of Egyptian and Mesopotamian people. Workers in Lothal mixed tin with copper for the manufacture of celts, arrowheads, fishhooks, chisels, bangles, rings, drills, and spearheads. Lothal was also one of the most important centers of production for ivory and shell working. Lothal even produced a large quantity of gold ornaments, but things changed after 3.5 centuries. A massive flood in 2000 BCE resulted in the silting of the river mouth, with the river changing its course, making it difficult for larger ships to dock at the port. With fewer and smaller ships docking at the port, trade declined and the city of Lothal began its slow march to death. A massive deluge in 1900 BCE finally wiped off the city. While people continued to inhabit the region for eons to come, Lothal did not reach its earlier height again. At its peak, Lothal was a shining example of the ingenuity and gumption of ancient Indian civilization. What Lothal is to the Gulf of Khambat, Dholavira is to the Gulf of Kutch, another IVC port city which had trade links to West Asia and Africa. But Lothal and Dholavira aren't the only evidence about ancient Indians being ancient seafarers. There are several references in the Rigveda, Shatapatha Brahmana, Baudhayana Dharma Sutra, and other Hindu texts about people of the time undertaking naval expeditions and traveling to distant lands by sea routes well known to them. The Rigveda is the oldest evidence on record that refers to Varuna, the lord of the sea, and credits him with the knowledge of the ocean routes which were used by ships. The oldest Tamil literature, Tholkappiyam, also refers to Varuna as the god of the seas. The twin gods Ashwins are said to have rescued the sea-stranded prince Bhujyu in their 100-oared galley. The Rigveda mentions merchants sailing ships across the oceans to foreign countries in quest of trade and wealth, while the West credits the ancient Sumerians, Egyptians, the Greeks, and the Romans for their seafaring activities. Indians rarely figure in the discussion of ancient seafaring.